The Berry County Board of Commissioners is called to order. Will commissioners, staff, and guests please rise for the invocation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for bringing us here on this sunshiny day. Be with those men and women who work in harm's way to afford us the freedoms that we're here to express today and deciding things for our community. Help us to have safe travels as people vacation this summer, and thank you for a successful procedure for our missing member. In Jesus' name, amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. For the purposes of attendance, the clerk will call the roll.
Connor. Absent. Geiger.
Here.
Gibson.
Here.
Jackson.
Here.
Parker.
Here.
Smelker.
Here.
Queen.
Here. Thank you. Approval of written agenda. At this time, any commissioner or member of the public may ask for an item to be removed from the consent agenda and placed under items for consideration. Hearing no such request and without objection, the agenda is approved as written.
Madam Chair, before we have that decision, can we add something to unfinished business? We tabled or postponed the discussion about the committee of the whole appointments or appointments to boards and commissions. So I would like to have discussion about board appointments to unfinished business.
Number 13?
Number 13.
Where's that gonna be on?
Number 13.
13, okay.
Is there support for that?
Support.
Any discussion? So approval of the amended agenda. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The amended agenda is approved. Reports from state and county officers. I don't see any officers here. Limited public comment at this time. Any member of the public wishing to address the board may do so for up to 3 minutes.
Good morning. Tammy Pennington, Executive Director of the Commission on Aging. At the last meeting, there was a question raised, I think it was Commissioner Smelker, asked about whether we had done due diligence in roof repairs over the years, that coming to the commission for a $25,000 roof repair, he wasn't sure that we had done our due diligence in doing roof repair over the years, and maybe it wouldn't have gotten to this point. So I did have my staff pull some figures, and we actually, over the last 10 years, have done 9 different roof repairs, patch jobs on that roof, ranging from a $150 repair to a $7,235 repair. So the total on those repairs over the last 10 years is $18,645. And then that doesn't include the $7,000 that we've spent in the past 2 seasons doing shoveling. So that total is $25,645 that we have spent out of the COA budget. And of course, that's in addition to other building improvements and repairs that we've done over the years. So that was the figure that I was able to pull for the commissioners. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment? Various correspondence. Does any board or commissioner have any correspondence to read? I do have one, and I'm sorry I don't have it pulled up, and it was from, in regards to the vehicle and the staff members that were injured in June 20th. I reached out to Brad Lamberg and asked him if he knew of MDOT's intentions on the traffic signaling down the road here in front of Walmart and out the end of Green Street. He reached out to MDOT, and I am paraphrasing the email because I don't have it pulled up. It is their intention to change the traffic signals there next year. They were going to change the right-hand turn lane to allow for vehicles to get over sooner so that you could see the traffic behind them better. But while they were studying that, it became clear that they will need to do something different there than just add that turn lane. It sounds like they are anticipating putting in a light at the end of Walmart's driveway. But that is a paraphrase, and I do not know when that work is scheduled. But at least they have taken the bad traffic there seriously, and that was in the works before I contacted them, and it was a nice reminder that there's something is going to change there, and it'll be a whole lot safer for our constituents and the truck drivers that come and go from that place. It's not an easy driveway to get out of, so something will be done, I believe, in 2020. So.
Good news.
Yes. Wait a minute. Consent items. Mr. Geiger, can you read consent items for me?
Absolutely. Madam Chair, I move for the following consent items. A, approval of the June 25th, 2019 Board of Commissioners meeting minutes. B, approval of the July 2nd, 2019 Committee of the Whole meeting minutes. C, approval of the purchase of new furniture for the Adult Specialty Court Office in the amount of $15,566.60, $14,901.60 to Enterprise Interiors, and $665 to Office Depot, and approval of the purchase of office dividers for the Family Division Clerical Office in the amount of $2,199.86 for a total of $17,766.46 with funds to be paid from the Capital Replacement Fund. D, approval to purchase a new 2019 GMC Terrain through the State of Michigan My Deal purchasing program to replace a 2019 GMC Terrain VIN number ending in L287795, damaged in an auto accident on June 20th, 2019. E, approval to purchase a replacement Marine Patrol Vessel number 2, a 2000 Lund with a 2020 Lund, and sell the 2001 Lund via sealed bid to the highest bidder. And F, approval of changes/additions to the Berry County Information Technology Security Policy.
Second.
Moved by Geiger, second by Parker. To approve the items listed under the consent agenda, discussion is not allowed and a roll call vote is required.
Wade,
Yes.
Parker,
Yes.
Gibson,
Yes.
Smelker,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Geiger.
Yes.
The item is approved. Presentations. This morning, we have Dr. Joyce DeYoung to give us our annual report from the medical examiner.
Sure.
Dr. DeYoung, good morning. While you're passing those out, we have on the screen the annual report.
Oh, all right.
I'm happy to advance the slides if you'd like, or we also have a clicker. It's up to you.
Does it just go through the whole report? Is that
It
kind
is
of?
the whole report,
Okay.
so I
let
can
me,
move to the pages that I should.
Yeah, I actually, how about if I tell you which pages to go to?
Perfect.
Do you have any commissioners that are newer that I haven't met before?
We've been here a year, maybe.
I think we met everybody.
Most of us have been here
Okay,
for
most of you.
almost 3 years.
Okay, all right, good. So then you kind of know I'm the medical examiner. I actually serve as the medical examiner currently for 12 counties in Michigan. Barry being one of them. I was originally at Sparrow Hospital and was the medical examiner there for a while. Then when we expanded down to Western Michigan University with their program there, they added a pathology department that has a lot of forensic pathology almost exclusively. And we're serving for a lot of Southwest Michigan. It's not the counties aren't contiguous because it skips up and we end up with, I have Muskegon, Mason and Osceola, and then Grand Traverse and Leland as well. And people often ask me why, and I say it's because that's what their boards of commissioners decided to do. So there's a lot of land there. We're a fairly major office. We have 6 forensic pathologists in our office, which is really, I always knock on wood and say we're currently fully staffed. There's a really critical shortage of forensic pathologists in the country, and to be fully staffed is really a great thing, but we have a great office to work in, so we find it easy to recruit and retain forensic pathologists. So just for what it's worth, when people think of the medical examiner program, we just briefly, I always like to remind everyone it's more than just the autopsies, which is what people tend to think of. We have, whenever a death is reported to our office, we have an investigator who is in Berry County who responds to that scene, takes that first call. They respond to the scene. They're supposed to be there within an hour, and I think they almost always are, unless there's weather or something or multiple calls. But they respond and they take a report, they gather information. There are certain cases that we know, they know right away, the investigator does, that it's going to come for a postmortem examination. But anything else, they contact the forensic pathologist. So we're on call. We have one of the 6 forensic pathologists on call 24/7, 365. And so you get called at whatever hour that is to make a decision about what happens. Other things that our office does, we in many of those cases, even if maybe there's not going to be a postmortem examination, we have to complete the death certificate if the person who died didn't have a physician or wasn't seeing one. And we'll also, we authorize all of the cremation permits. So every cremation permit that is requested, it's sent to us by the local funeral directors, and we have to take a look at that and the death certificate and make a decision whether to approve it. So they're not, sometimes they launch into complete investigations, other times it's just clearly natural and based on everything that's been reported on there. So, and we work very closely as well with Gift of Life. We have a very high referral rate to them. And in the other function of our office, it was actually a legislative change a couple of years ago, is that the final stop for unclaimed bodies now is the medical examiner. That's not a huge challenge with Berry County. Almost everybody is claimed in Berry County. So you can be unclaimed either because you just don't have anybody, you don't have next of kin, or you can be unclaimed because your family either doesn't have the financial resources to handle whatever the costs are of that, or they choose not to. But that's also, it's turned into almost, with that legislative change, almost a full-time job in our office. So if you look at the annual report, and I think we could go to page, Berry County we have all of the counties in here. We do that because the county commissioners always ask what was going on with other counties that are nearby or of similar value. And what we did actually, we had a full year of data for 2018. I took over as a medical examiner sometime in 2017, but we went to Sparrow Hospital, who was doing they had their annual report. So we don't have 2017 data, but we took 2015 and 16 and then added 2018 on the end there. So there's some comparison. And I think really, if you look at page 18 there, what it really shows is that we have, that a lot of the numbers stay roughly the same. So the number of deaths that are occurring in your county and the number of deaths that are reported to the medical examiner, there may be a little variation there. How many deaths get investigated if you just go down those tables, and how many times an MEI goes out to the scene, how many times we actually end up having to do the death certificate. So those numbers all kind of stay the same. And, we've seen like a little bit of a drop in complete autopsies. That may, I used to be at Sparrow, and we all just follow the same kind of rules, if you will, the standard that the National Association of Medical Examiner, that they produce those standards on what you should be, which cases require an autopsy, and that's what we follow. Sometimes people wonder, how do you make that decision? And there is a national standard with clear direction on that. So a lot of these things are kind of, they do sort of stay the same. We still have a high rate of referrals to Gift of Life, something that we work hard to do as well. And So those are all pretty interesting. I think if you look at some of the factors some of the issues that are challenges in other counties, such as opioid-related fatalities, there were 2 opioid-related fatalities, and that's over on page 20, if you will. There were a total of 5 drug-related deaths that were either accidents or they were considered indeterminate, meaning we couldn't tell was it an accident or a suicide. there wasn't enough information. But when we look at that final table there, we could see that there were 5 of those that fall into an accidental death or an indeterminate, and that 2 of them, one of them included heroin and fentanyl, another one was just fentanyl, were opioid-related fatalities, and then there were also 2 methamphetamine-related deaths. The one death had multiple prescription medications, and but that was so that's kind of it. It's there. I'm not sure if it's up or down from previous years with Berry County. I looked just yesterday, and it looked like we have about year to date about 2 opioid-related fatalities and about 3 drug-related deaths so far. That was as of yesterday. So we're probably just on about par for that. So it's here. It's there are other counties that are having greater troubles with that, not necessarily based on the population either. Calhoun County, for example, has a very severe problem with this compared to Kalamazoo, even though Kalamazoo has a much larger population. So, but I also wanted to, if you would just go back to page 64, and this is always sort of interesting to me, and the counties that I've circled in my report are the ones that kind of have the same population as yours, so St. Joe and Van Buren. So St. Joe is also at about 61,000 and Van Buren at 75,000. But the other county that I'm looking at is Mason. And if you look at what really sort of matters in the counties as far as the medical examiner operation, it's how many deaths occur in your county. And that's not necessarily based on what your population is. So that top chart there, if you look at Berry County, there were 390 deaths in the county. But then you look down at St. Joe and Van Buren, and even though they have similar populations, or maybe Van Buren obviously a little bit higher, but they had over 500 deaths. So significantly more deaths that are occurring in the county. And then compare that to Mason with a population of just 29,000, and they had over 300 deaths in their county. That's always it's a number that's sort of interesting because it's like, why does a county with, if you look at the variation in the populations, there's a lot of variability in how many deaths are occurring. Typically, it's because you have a hospital, and and people are coming into that hospital and dying. Now, obviously, there's a hospital here, but I just, I'm not sure why that number is lower for Berry County. But maybe some of the people in Berry County are going elsewhere to, maybe they're going to Kalamazoo, or Grand Rapids, or wherever else. If Lansing, with serious problems, so. But that also sort of turns into how many postmortem examinations are done. So compared to Berry County at 38, with St. Joe and Van Buren significantly higher at 53 and 61. So it's kind of it does sort of determine how busy the county is, and you're very close to Mason County in your volume, even though their population is half. Mason's not happy about that, and I can't fix that, But the Mason commissioners were pondering billing the other counties if the person came from their county and died in Mason, but that's their thing. I said that's not something we could do. It'd be up to them if they want to try. But so those are kind of. I think we've had. I think we've made the transition in 2017 to WMed, and I think it's been a pretty smooth transition for us. I think things are going very well with Berry County. We have an active child death review team, which actually our office. Handles at this point. We anytime a child dies in Berry County, there is either a Berry County resident who dies when we get a report of that, or a child dies in Berry County. That death is reviewed by a team of people with representation from law enforcement, from the prosecutor's office, from Child Protective Services and hospitals and schools. A lot of people will come in, and the whole goal of that investigation is to focus on what you can do to prevent childhood deaths. So that's kind of what's been happening this past year. I always like to end too, and it's in the report that there's a lot of numbers in here. There are a lot of figures and charts and numbers, and it's just not lost on any of us who work in our office that every one of those numbers represents a person who died, who is a member of your community and has family members, parents, grandparents, children, friends in this community, and it's a loss to the community as well. And we keep that in mind when we're dealing with the families as well. Do you have any questions?
Thank you, Dr. DeYoung. I do have a comment for you. Earlier this year, a month or so ago, we received some letters from one of our local funeral homes that are more than ecstatic with the services that your offices have been providing. And it's not often that we hear glowing reports about the medical examiner, so they were quite outstanding to hear that we made a great decision that everybody's pleased with, and that our constituents, even after death, are being treated with respect and in a timely manner, so.
Oh, good,
we
that's so good to
appreciate your
hear. We
office.
strive for that, and when I hear something negative, it's like, we work so hard to work with the funeral homes, but really with those families. When we have a family with been an exam or whatever, we try very hard to reach out to them afterwards, to give them information, let them know what we found, and to maintain that kind of relationship with them. So thank you so much for that.
For us, it was quite amazing to hear an accolade like that, so, because you don't often think about that at the county level. And
Right.
so when we did get those, we were very happy that the transition had gone so well.
Good, thank you so much.
Commissioner Geiger?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. I had the opportunity to go down and look at the facility about a year ago, and it's state-of-the-art. And the awesome thing was, I'm not just saying this because I'm a WMU Bronco, but the staff and and your team is just so professional, treats everybody with dignity and respect. And as the chair alluded to, we don't get thank you notes very often. It's very rare.
Neither do we, but okay.
But can you tell us, kind of explain the process of how your office interacts with funeral homes, and I guess what's the involvement in a natural death?
Well, in a natural death, if it's one that's reported to our office, first of all, we would send, if it's a death, outside of a healthcare facility, we would send an investigator, even if it was in the emergency department, but it's a natural death, we would send an investigator to the scene. They then would facilitate they'll talk to the family, and the family would select the funeral home. We'll contact the funeral home. If the family hasn't made that call already, we make that contact. Then we work with the funeral home to get the death certificate to them. And sometimes we need to get medical records. Sometimes we'll contact the decedent's primary care physician, see if they'll sign, if they're uncomfortable doing that for whatever reason, because maybe they hadn't seen them in a year. We'll go ahead and take care of that. So there's a lot of communication there. The other communication is just through when a body comes in for an examination. We will be contacting them about, getting the body back to them and when they can pick it up and that type of thing. So cremation permits is another area that we touch each other a lot. We have a very sort of well established, if you send it in by 9, you should have it back by noon. If you send it in by 2, it should be back by 5, and if we can't get it back to you by that time, we're going to call you and let you know why, because there's been an investigation launched. So there's a lot of, we do touch each other a lot, and, we're dealing with the same population, basically. So, and we try and maintain a really good working relationship with them. Mm-hmm. And they're working on behalf of the families, and so are we. And that's not, we all know that.
Well, clearly you're succeeding at keeping that working relationship. Last question. Could you explain for the board and the audience what your investigation team does for unclaimed bodies?
Right. So if they're unclaimed, if we have one, first of all, the body comes in for storage because it has to go somewhere. Mm-hmm. So we'll bring that in. But we attempt very hard to get someone to claim it. So that will be we'll do searches. We have authorization to use certain databases. TLO is one that we use that will try and find family members, try and find someone to claim that person. We have to we find out if they're a veteran. If they're a veteran, the VA, the veterans, and they had an honorable discharge, we'll work with the VA to they'll arrange for burial of them. But eventually, if there isn't any, if we can't find anyone, we will go through the state and get emergency funding, or it's funding or emergency relief funding to pay a funeral director for a cremation. We then oftentimes end up with unclaimed cremated remains, and we've started working actually with a church in Kalamazoo. We're looking for others as well to where they have taken these cremains, and through a really lovely ceremony that our group participates with, they have buried them, and they have their name is on a plaque, and there's a very there's a little service that goes along with it. So we try and, because there's not a lot of dignity in having your cremated remains in a cabinet in a locked room. So we're working on doing that as well.
Thank you.
It's generally the process.
Smelker?
I had an occasion, one of my constituents asked about a burial in the 1800s, and we contacted your office and got a response in a very timely manner, and he was extremely pleased with the results he got. He says, I got a lot more answers than I did questions, but,
That's right.
but thank you very much.
Oh, you're
for that.
welcome.
Any other questions this morning? Thank you, Dr. Dean.
All right, thank you. I'll leave a few of these extras if anybody wants them.
Thanks. Public hearings. We have none. Items for consideration.
Madam Chair, I move for approval of the following items. Item A, approval of prepaid invoices in the amount of $2,895,285.50. Approval of claims in the amount of $65,032.11. Approval of commissioner reimbursement mileage in the amount of $777.43.
Support.
Moved by Jackson, support by Gibson. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, the clerk will call the roll.
Parker,
Yes.
Gibson,
Yes.
Smelker,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Wayne,
Yes.
and Geiger.
Yes.
And please forgive me for not rereading that.
No problem. Item D, approval. I move for approval to pay for roof repairs for the Commission on Aging building in the amount of $25,750 per the attached bid from True Colors Industrial LLC, with funds to be paid from the Building Rehabilitation Fund.
Support.
Support by Jackson, or motion by Jackson, support by Geiger, for the approval to pay for the roof repair on the Commission on Aging building in the amount of $25,750 per the attached bid from True Colors Industrial LLC, with funds to be paid from the Building Rehabilitation Fund. Discussion. Yes, sir.
You think maybe this should be postponed until Commissioner Connor be here, seeing as it's her agenda item? Just a thought.
Say that again, John?
It was Vivian's agenda item, and seeing she can't be here, do you think we ought to postpone it till she is
She
here?
didn't she email us or something that it said that she was off for that? That's what
I have a statement from her.
Okay.
If you indulge me, I'm trying to get into my computer. I had it all up, and now it doesn't like me.
maybe that wouldn't make a difference to you, but yeah,
No.
I remember something from her as well, though, so.
yeah.
It ends in a 3-3 tie, you know.
What, exactly. So this is a statement from Commissioner Connor. I'm sorry that I can't be there, but it is still too early in the healing process for me to come today. The funds for the roof repair for the COA roof are currently proposed in their 2020 budget. I am the one that told the COA board that I would ask the Board of Commissioners if this could be paid out of the county building fund. The master facility plan is in the hands of the Board of Commissioners. We have known since 2015 that the jail and the COA are the two most vulnerable buildings. They both are failing. It is our responsibility to get these projects underway before we have major issues. While both those departments weighed on us, I thought that the COA roof repair might be appropriate for the county to pay for because we have not moved forward yet. The COA is trying to keep costs down, and get through until we decide the best route to go. Our board needs to get moving on these two buildings. I leave it to the rest of you to make the right decision. Thank you, Vivian.
I would agree. I got quite a lot of feedback from my constituents over our discussion last week about the COA. And I just want to reiterate my seat that the jail still is the top priority of this county. And I'm hopeful that Tower Pinkster is here to present something soon so we can get moving on that. Just because we talked about the COA doesn't mean that we're any less committed to replacing the county jail. That's all I have.
Any other thoughts?
I think I let mine known pretty clear last week.
Hearing no further discussion, the question before the board is the approval to pay for the roof repair on.
Sorry.
You got thoughts?
I did have one.
Okay.
On this, if the county does do it, can we do it with one bid?
We
Aren't
usually
we
have three.
obligated to three or not?
I think there was only one company that bid. I think they put their RFP out and they only got one response.
So if that's the case, if it was bid out and you only got one response, then yes, that certainly is acceptable.
I guess I do have a question. One of the reasons why this bid came in is because I was sitting at Fox Motors and a guy was sitting next to me and we got talking and goes to my church. I forgot who he was, but he goes to my church. And he was telling me about this product and so on and so forth, and what he was doing. And I got I said, well, you ought to call Commission on Aging and see what, if there's anything there that could be helpful. And so I don't know if I should excuse myself on this vote or not, but I don't think it's necessary, but I just thought I'd throw that out to you guys, so I want you to know that, so.
You're not getting a commission from this sale, are you?
What's that? No, I'm not getting a cut. No, I'm not. No.
Any other discussion?
Maybe I'll get some babysitting later on in life or something.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, the question before the board is the approval to pay for the roof repair on the Commission on Aging building in the amount of $25,750 per the attached bid from True Colors Industrial LLC, with funds to be paid from the Building Rehabilitation Fund. A roll call vote is called for.
Gibson,
No.
Smelker,
No.
Jackson,
Yes.
Travis absent, Wing,
Yes.
Parker,
Yes.
and Geiger.
Yes.
4-2.
The item is approved.
I move for approval of item E, approval to appoint blank as the officer and blank as the officer alternate. Who are we gonna fill in the blanks with?
I believe Vivian was the first blank.
And she's not here to defend herself.
Did Vivian's message indicate whether she?
It did not include her.
Did anyone talk to her personally?
I forgot to ask her. And I know she's watching. Let's see, did she send me an email?
I talked to her and she's just very willing to go if her hip, everything comes out fine.
Right?
Let's send Vivian.
Heather, you
And-
expressed an interest too, didn't you?
I would love to have the opportunity to go. It's just that time of year, I can't plan that far ahead. I mean, if you'd like to appoint me alternate, so if something falls through with her, that I would be congenial to that.
I was also thinking that I don't think Luella's went in a long time either.
Ooh, that's an idea.
Luella?
Would be a good alternate.
I think she was at the last one in Grand Rapids,
Get the MERS?
wasn't she?
She went to not as not as one of the delegates. She went to, now that you mention that, to see one or two of the sessions. She just went for a
Oh, okay.
partial.
All right, I saw her there, so I
Yeah.
figured she was there for that, all right.
Now that you say that, I'd forgotten about that.
Okay, Heather, you
I
can
have
be the
nothing
alternate.
against Heather either, going.
Yeah, I'm more than happy to serve as alternate if something happens with Vivian.
You think you would be able to go if something happened?
Maybe make it work. That time of year, I can't guarantee anything, but we'll try.
I move for approval to appoint Vivian Connor as officer delegate and Heather Wing as officer alternate to attend the 2019 Municipal Employees Retirement System Annual Meeting and to approve paying the expenses for the officer delegate and employee delegate to attend on October 3rd and 4th, 2019 at Grand Traverse Resort, Acme, Michigan.
Second.
Motion by Jackson, second by Smelker, for the approval to appoint Vivian Connor as officer delegate and Heather Wing as officer alternate to attend the 2019 Municipal Employees Retirement System Annual Meeting and to approve paying the expenses for the officer delegate and the employee delegate to attend on October 3rd and 4th, 2019 at the Grand Traverse Resort, Acme, Michigan. A roll call is in order.
Gibson,
Yes.
Smelker,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Ms. Gibson, Wing,
Yes.
Parker,
Yes.
and Geiger.
Yes.
Item is approved.
I move for adoption of Resolution 19-13, a resolution for Pine Lake Level Excess Spending Authorization.
Support.
Motion by Jackson, support by Geiger.
I sure can. There's one minute.
For the adoption of Resolution 19-13, resolution for Pine Lake Level Excess Spending Authorization. So I do have that resolution in front of me. So who,
Here, you want mine?
I have it. Wait a couple minutes for the drain commissioner to come up. We can take a break in
Okay.
5 minutes.
Oh, we need the Jim Dahl.
Taking a break? Fill me
Take a
in,
break.
Dave, I won't take up the time to ask.
Thanks.
Pine Lake is not a drain district. There is no drain
Late.
into or
You're
out of
late.
Pine